Actually, my school banned cell phones from. So yeah, so
I need to go. I should have went to your high school back when I was your age. Growing up, and it was tough. Like, you either were one way and you weren't the other.
Yeah.
And because if you were that one way, then people knew, like, oh, he's the guy that's, like, goes to church. Like, stay away from him.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with Chick-fil-A. That would definitely bring people to the Lord.
Yeah, it does.
You say you're having Chick-fil-A there, people are going to show up.
You are now listening to Last Sunday
What's up, Last Sunday? How you guys doing? We are back with another episode. And if you guys didn't check out last Sunday, we had Daniel Baltazar. He was talking about owning properties, being a realtor, and, you know, it was a pretty fire episode. So go check that out if you have not listened to it. But today's guest, we have a young buck in the studio, you know. He is a PK kid. If people don't know what that is, pastor's kid. He is actually the son of Joel Badal. Yep. I know I messed that up last time about your dad. Yep. Badal. I still messed that up. And we have Matthew Badal here. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm all right. You know, I was like, we need the youth here, you know? So you are going to be the face of the youth on the Last Sunday podcast. Okay. So we're going to basically, whatever you say is what's going on in the youth, all right? You're the word and you're the ears on the street right now. So, tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you're 16, right?
Yeah, I'm 16. So I'm a junior in high school. I go to Hinckley Big Rock, which is about 45 minutes north of here. So it's a far drive, but I grew up in Hinckley like my entire life, and then we moved to Ottawa. I don't know, my beginning of freshman year. So it's been a while since we've been in Hinckley, but we still have our house. So sometimes I periodically spend the night there and stuff during the school year. Nice. But yeah, so I play golf, basketball, and baseball.
Nice. What's your favorite?
I would say golf.
Golf, really?
So, yeah, I spend most of my time playing golf, especially during the summer.
That's a rich man sport right there. So, you know, it's funny. Back when I was in high school, my mom, she bought some golf clubs, and she was like, "You should do golf," and I'm like, "No."
It's expensive. I just bought new clubs, and it was a lot. Yeah. So, So I used to play soccer as well. Nice. Then I just switched to golf and soccer. Nice. So yep.
Definitely golf is like a more of a an old man sport. Yeah. I feel like maybe when I get older I'll get into it. You know? So, but that's crazy, man. You know, whenever I talk to anybody that's like younger, I always think about when I was their age. I don't know. I don't know why, but yeah, that's crazy. So you like golfing, and also you do like a Bible study at your school as well?
Yeah, I do. So I now I'm leading it. I used to lead it with my cousin. His name is Josh. So we every year we host an outreach. Nice. And so we did one last year in April, and there was 40 some kids that came to the outreach, which our high school is about 200 students. So it's
small high school.
So it's only 40 kids, but that's the
quarter
of the school, you know. So it was good. And then 9 people recommitted their lives, and then 5 committed their lives to Christ. So it was really cool to see. So.
That's amazing. That actually leads up to the question I was gonna ask. I'm sorry we got crying babies over here, but you know that's what comes with Last Sunday, guys. Okay. How do you see do you see this generation? Do you see God moving, or would you say that it's not as prevalent?
It kind of just depends on what who you look at, in what group you look at. There's some kids that you can see God moving. In my youth group, I go to Village Bible Church in Sugar Grove youth group. and like there's people just like also like leading Bible studies at their own school too.
Nice.
And then I can look at my school and my like classmates, like they don't care, you know.
Yeah.
So, and there's some people that are like openly like atheists and all that.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be Christian in today's age, but like it's just good that you can just like lead others to Christ and just show others the love.
Would you say, like you said, I know you touched on saying it was hard. Do you feel like, do you see these kids sometimes you're like, you're like, obviously you're doing the stuff, you're doing the Bible studies, you have people that you're in youth group, you're doing all the right things, but do you see some of these kids and you're like, man, like they're hurting, and you kind of...
Yeah, I like especially like some kids, like I know that like there's something going on, so I always like try to invite them to the Bible study. We do it weekly, so like I'm like, hey, why don't you come this week? And sometimes they do, and then like sometimes they don't. So that part's hard because like it's just discouraging that they like won't come, you know. Yeah. But it's also very encouraging when others like do come. So
that's an amazing thing, because like I remember growing up and it was tough. Like you either were one way and you weren't the other. Yeah. And because if you were that one way, and then people knew like, oh, he's the guy that's like goes to church, like stay away from him, you know. But it definitely is like you like your generation, you being 16, you guys are basically the next generation up, and it is powerful that you're doing that right now at a young age. Do you feel like this generation, what the world is today, are you worried about, and like, are you worried about, you know, Christ moving in your generation, and how the world, you know, we just had Trump get assassinated, like assassination attempt, you got, you know, talks of civil war, you got all these crazy things going on in the world. How do you feel about that?
I think...
I know that's a big question.
Yeah, it's...
People are like, why are you asking this kid this big question? But, I mean, it's true, because you're the next generation. Like, you're the youth that's coming up, you know? Yeah. And, like, you know, like my son Elias and, you know, my kids, I look at them like, I gotta raise them knowing the Lord, because I know how the world is, and we're not to conform of the world, right? We're not to conform to the world, but I'm over here messing up scripture. But yeah, so how do you feel about that?
Part of me like feels like we're in trouble, especially like I look at like even like younger than me, like they're like so into their screen, like phone and like whatever they use, like they like can't get off of it, you know? Yeah. So which that's gonna be like the hardest part of their lives, is just try to like focus on their life out of the screens. Yeah. And actually my school banned cell phones from. So yeah. So
I need to go. I should have went to your high school back when I was your age.
So it's gonna be really, really different. And I'm sure like some kids are gonna be like, you know,
uproar and upset. Yeah.
So that's like part of me, like that's going to be an issue for the next generation. But also, I mean, not many people like are really like fully committing their lives to Christ. They're just like, oh yeah, I'm a Christian. And I'm like, oh, so do you go to church? They're like, no. And I'm like, okay. Do you like know anything about God? They're like, no. So it's like, okay.
It's like, are you actually Christian? I don't get what's going on here.
So so that's gonna be hard, like just having people like actually like commit, like going to church and like just digging into their Bible and all that. So
and people are very surface level. And I think God has called us to surrender everything, you know. And you know, your dad's talked about that, and it's tough, you know, especially when you're young. It's like you're always have eyes on you. You want to fit in. You also have people that make fun of you, and does that stuff go on in high school? Because
Yes and no. It just depends on kind of like what your friend group is and stuff. Like, some people, like some friend groups, like will make fun of each other, but like
just joking around.
Yeah.
It's like, it's funny because like when I was growing up, I was poor. So basically I would always wear like some like same clothes, and the guys would dog on me, and I was on the basketball team and all that stuff. But I remember like people had their certain groups. Yeah. And I wonder, like, I'm like, is it like that today? Like, do they
it's still like that.
It's still like you have the jocks, and you have the nerdy kids, and you know what's weird though? I never fit in the norms though. I was always just jumping around. Yeah, that was one thing about me.
That's kind of how I am. Like I feel like I'm kind of like in between like some friend groups too. Yeah. So, which is fine. Like I don't care. Like
we need that though, because I feel like that's what kind of like. I remember like I'm like, man, like the nerds would be into like Dungeons and Dragons and anime and stuff, and I'm like, let me go check that out. And then I got into anime. You know, I was watching. You ever seen Naruto?
No.
I used to watch Naruto and a bunch of that stuff, and then I kind of like you know the Magic, the card game. I used to play that, and then like I had my family, and they were like in gangs and stuff like that. So I was just like, you know, jumping around everywhere. Yeah. I was kind of like a nomad a little bit, but everybody knew me. Yeah. I was always funny. So it's like, you know, but I think that's cool though, that you still have the nomads. Me and you know, we're the same. So, but man, like, so you're doing your Bible study, and you said you're doing outreach. What is the name of the outreach that you do?
I don't really have like a name for it. It's just a part of like the club. Because we just host it like every year. Like I mean, if you want to give us a name, then give us a name. Then you know.
Hey, so. You heard it here first. If you want to give him a name for the outreach, comment below. Give him a name. Nothing too crazy, guys. Okay. All right. Relax.
So like, I mean, we have Chick-fil-A sandwiches, 50 Chick-fil-A sandwiches. So.
I'm definitely going to go. Yeah, you let me know when the next one is, and I'll be there for the sandwiches.
Yeah, so usually Chick-fil-A like gives us like a little discount. Sometimes they don't, but that's okay.
No, come on, Chick-fil-A. You can't go wrong with Chick-fil-A. That would definitely bring people to the Lord.
Yeah, it does.
You say you're having Chick-fil-A there, people are going to show up. But I was gonna ask you, so like, how do you remember, like, you being the age you are, and you know, you say people are closed on you either one way or not, how do you approach trying to get someone to come to like a Bible study?
I like, if I like know that someone's like kind of like on the edge of like committing their lives, or like trying to test the waters or something, I'm like, hey, why don't you just come to Bible study? Like last year we did like a Sermon on the Mount series. Like we did a devotion on that like every week. So it's not like something too big, you know. So it was just an easy way to like kind of test the waters, if you will. So
invite people, just try to say, hey, do you want to come? And you know, I have Chick-fil-A. And no, when I was your age, I actually did Christian hip hop.
Okay.
So that's how we would get people to come, because we would do shows. And I had a couple mentors at the time too. And we actually performed at a couple churches. It was pretty cool. But I don't see a lot of people doing that. Do you know anybody that does music?
Not like hip hop type stuff. No.
Like rock or?
No.
Nothing. Yeah. That was something that God put on my heart back when I was younger. I thought I was really going to be like a rap star. That was like my first dream. I was like, I'm going to tour the world, you know. But I think that is powerful, because like music today, like we can get into that. Like music today is like, I mean, it controls the world, honestly. Yeah. Do you see influences on that?
Yeah, like yes and no. Like many people like listen to like the secular like rap music, and then like I know like some of my friends, like they listen to like the Christian rap. So it's like it's very like different. And then, like, you know, there's some people that like country, and I like country.
Me too.
But then
I just got into country.
yeah, so I also just listen to just regular, like, contemporary Christian music too.
Yeah.
So it just kind of depends on, like, the group that you look at, and then, like, how, like, not devoted, but, like, how, like, much they listen to it, you know?
Yeah. It's funny because it's like Christian hip hop, I remember had like a stigmatism, like everybody didn't like it. It was, I was like, this is dry, you know?
Yeah.
But and then like it actually is pretty good now.
Yeah,
like, I
so
like
like,
it a lot.
Yeah, so there's like a lot of like upcoming like Christian rappers now. So
NF was like a big one.
Yeah, and then I know there's like Forrest Frank.
Oh yes, that's my guy, bro.
Yeah.
I love that dude. He's so fire.
Yeah, I've always been like a Toby Mac fan, but now he's kind of too old and not really coming out with any songs. So
if Toby Mac is listening to this, he would be like, "Damn, that just ruined my life." Yeah, I know like Lecrae's been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
I love Andy Mineo. That was my guy. I'm waiting for him to drop an album, but yeah, that like artists like Frank Forrest. I mean, he's doing something different. I like him a lot. Like I listen to a lot of his music, and I think we have to like. For me, it's like I feel like God has called me for the youth. That's something that I feel like I want to do, and that's why part of the reason why I kind of wanted to have you on too, because it's like if I want to do that in the future and be a youth pastor or just work in a youth or ministry, anything, I want to know like what is going on, like how can I reach the youth, what can we do, because I know how important it is, because we have to lead by example, and we have to show people Christ. And how can we do that? But how can we do it in a loving way to where people would actually genuinely want to know about Christ? And that's why I'm like, what can we do, And then that's why I was thinking about music and stuff like that, or just even just having conversations like right now, like we're just talking, you know what I mean? I know you know Christ and you know God, and but how can we have these conversations with kids your age and like not have them be like, nah, I'm good, bro, like, so that's what I'm trying to like figure out. But I guess it's like what you like how you are, you just say, hey, you start something, right? Yeah, you start something. So how would you tell somebody that's like in your shoes, that's 16, that loves the Lord, that's going to a school that's people are not really following the Lord, but they want to do something? What would you tell that person?
I would just say, like, just keep trying. Like, it's hard. Like, you just gotta overcome, like, the hardships of, like, that. And so you just gotta keep trying. And then, like, if people don't, like, show up to, like, the Bible study or something that you're hosting, you just gotta keep, like, inviting people. And then even, like, posting like posters around like the school or something, and then people would be like, oh, I might want to like try to go to there, so you gotta like try to do like other things to lure people into the Bible study.
And like right now you see like there's some crazy stuff happening in high school right now, so it's like, is there anything like crazy in your high school? Or
yes and no. I mean, obviously you have those kids that like are like vaping and stuff, like that's the big issue right now. So it's hard to be around that stuff, especially as a Christian, because like it's, if you like do it, then you're probably not gonna like get out of it. It's really hard to get out of that stuff. So which for me, like I feel like many people like don't like peer pressure me. I think it's because like they know I'm Christian, I just won't do it. So I think that's like really good that like nobody's really like telling me to do this.
How much influence does like your dad have on you with him being a pastor? And obviously it has a tremendous, but I'm like, could you just talk about being pastor's kid? And
so I mean, it's not really like, I wouldn't say
like,
pressure,
crazy.
but like there's like more like responsibility. So like because like people like will like come up and like ask you questions and like like questions that you just don't know, like you know. So there's some questions I ask him, but then also just responsibility of like helping out at the church and stuff.
Yeah.
Like many of like even before my dad like was fully like into the River Valley Church right now, I was like helping out with stuff.
Yeah.
So like it was like kind of weird that like I was helping out with a church I like didn't even like really go to. So yeah.
Yeah.
So it was different, but especially like in other churches, like my dad, he wasn't like a fully pastor. Like he wasn't a pastor at Village Bible Church. They have seven different campuses. So there's at Aurora campus. So that's the one that we went to for a while. And he wasn't a pastor there, and still people like came up and like talked to him about stuff. So it was like really cool to see like him like engaging with people when he's not even a pastor.
Right.
So.
And how long has he been pastoring now? I forget. He probably said it on the podcast.
A while.
Yeah. That's
like ever since like he came out of college, like he was a youth pastor and stuff. So
yeah.
I think we've been at River Valley Church for maybe 5-6 years.
Yeah.
So
I think we're going on a year there.
Okay.
Me and our family. But yeah, I can see the fruit of the church and everything, and I see you out there helping, and you know you're always the camera guy, you know, and the sound guy and all that stuff. But that's a beautiful thing, you know. I remember one time when me and like this is probably our first when we moved out here. I was going through a rough time and stuff like that, and I remember Allison telling me like I was just feeling down, and then she's like, you know, one thing that you're doing is that as at least you're going to church every Sunday.
Yeah.
And I think some people are like don't want to go to church because they have these stigmas about church. And I talked about your dad about it too on the podcast, but it's like, how can we break that? It's like, what, like, I don't know, you know, it's tough. It's like, oh, I don't want to go to church because they want my money, or I don't want to go to church because, you know, they do this or do that. And it's like, if you actually go there and there's genuinely good people, like, you know, obviously I go to your church and everyone there is just, they're amazing people. You know, they're just, they love each other. We all we're in community together, and I feel like that's never a bad thing. Mm-hmm. How has church molded you? I know you're still young, but how has church helped you in your life growing up?
I think just hearing all the Bible stories, especially in kids' church, hearing all these Bible stories of these different people and how they had just faith in God. It's with Daniel, it's how do you trust God when you're in the lion's den? I don't, just those crazy stories, but also just my dad, he just always had faith and just always talked about the faith in God and how you have to put trust in God. Yeah. And especially my grandpa, my dad's side, and also my uncle on my dad's side. So they're all three pastors. So
nice.
Yeah, so having seeing that faith and trust in the Lord is just really, really cool. So
that's amazing to see that generations like that from your family, because I think that's important, when you're young and to have those examples. And that's right now one of my issues, because it's we're the first generation in a way. My dad, he was doing drugs, my mom, she had her stuff, and my family never really was consistently going to church. So me and Allison kind of was we need to change that. And we are the first generation of trying to raise our children knowing God. And it's tough, and it definitely is a lot. It helps a lot when you have, 3 pastors in your family. But it's a beautiful thing, though. But that started from, your grandpa. And then, it goes down. And that's what's important now is how can we do that now? How can we reach the youth? Because they are hurting right now, and they need God. and you see a lot of self-love in a way, you know. Oh, I can do it myself. Oh, I don't need this. I got it, you know. But it's like God is calling for a relationship with you, and he wants to have that relationship with you. How has your relationship with God, what does God play in your life in today, or, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think just sharing the gospel is like what he's really calling me to do. Especially because like I'm leading the Bible study, so it's part of that is like just just inviting people, and then like the actual like Bible study, you have to teach it, you know.
Yeah.
So just the preparation as well for it. So it's really cool what he's calling me to do.
Yeah.
And also like just through sports too, like I can like invite my like sports friends and to come, and like they know me as a friend, so they usually come, and so it's really cool to like see like even like just non-Christians just come in, and then they pay attention, you know, like they don't go on their phones or something. So
yeah. Do you see from like you doing the outreach, you can definitely see God moving in your school?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
So we usually have like guest speakers, and like
nice.
they really do a good job. So like last year it was having like a firm foundation in God, and people like really enjoyed it. So it was really cool to see like people like pay attention, and like especially after a long day of school, like they pay attention for like 30 minutes of someone talking again. So it's really it was really cool.
That's amazing. What are like, what are you working towards? What do you feel like God's calling you, and like, what do you want to do? Or is pastoring, you think, or what?
I don't know if it's really. I know
I'm
going to be a pastor.
Yeah.
My public speaking isn't really that good.
Yeah.
But
you came in here. I was like, he sat down, and literally he was so calm. He's like, I'm ready when you are, bro. Like, it was like, you were like a natural, bro.
Yeah. So, but like, once it like comes to like reading a scripture like in church or something, like I get like really sped up. So it's just like hard to like keep the nerves down and stuff.
Yeah.
But like the one-on-one stuff, like that's easy for me.
Yeah.
But like just the crowds is kind of like
it's like nerve-wracking
a
bit. I'm like that too. It's like I am a little like that too. Like it's weird. Like I can get in my element, and there can be a lot of people, and I just feel good, and But then there's other times where I'm like, I'm just not a good reader. That's my problem. So it's hard for me to read, and then when I need to read something, I'm like, and then this happened,
And then, like, especially, like, in big crowds, like, if I, like, have a sheet that, like, I can read off of, I'm just going to read off of it and just not look up, you know? So, it's
just like this.
Yeah.
And then you put it down and you just walk away.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I relate to that. I feel like I'm the same way, and it's funny because I feel like God's definitely calling me to work with the youth, but I'm like, But, Moses was the same way, Moses couldn't. He had a speech impediment, and God used him. So it's like God can use you, no matter wherever you are. And maybe, like you said, one-on-one's a little bit better for you. So God's using you there. And then maybe you develop these skills, and then as you get older. And I'm still getting older, and I'm not developing them, so I don't know what's going on. So you have come from a family of 6, right?
Well, family of 7, yeah.
7.
So 5 kids, and then my mom and dad.
Oh yeah.
So,
sorry. Yeah.
So I'm the middle child.
You're the middle child, yes, that's right. Then you have an older brother that's in college.
Yep. So he's gonna be a junior this year. So
nice.
So
how's your relationship with your brother? You guys pretty close, or?
Yeah, I feel like we were close, especially like his freshman of college, because he was in.
You guys look exactly the same, by the way. It's funny. It's like you look like a younger version of him. You guys look exactly the same.
Many teachers call me Jacob.
Oh,
so
really?
I'm like, I just go with it. I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah.
So
you're like, that's not me, but okay.
like one time my principal called me down to the office. He's like, Jacob Badal, please come to the office. And it was in middle school, and he was probably like a junior in high school.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's me. So I'm like, okay. And then I told my principal, I'm like, by the way, you called my brother's name. And then he just started laughing. So it was funny. But yeah, so I feel like the relationship with my brother was really close. Definitely when he was in Deerfield at Trinity International. And then he went up to Minnesota after the school that he went to online. So he went to a different school called University of Northwestern St. Paul. So that's in St. Paul, but kind of like a Deerfield kind of area, you know, in the suburbs. So it's a really nice campus, but I feel like since he's, you know, 6 hours away, it's kind of hard to like have that bond with him, you know,
relationship.
So, and especially with him having classes, and then he had an internship with his local church there, so he was just like going. So,
yeah. No, that's cool. That's I met him too. He's a cool guy. I think he's like my age, right? Or
he is. I think he's like 20.
He's 20?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude, I'm getting old. I'm turning 27 in November. Oh man, time goes by fast. I'll tell you that much right now. It's crazy. I feel like I'm still 16 though. You know, I swear to you, I do. Like, not like my body, but like the way I act.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I'm very much so a kid. You know, hence Angel the Kid. But I don't know. I think back to the verse where how Christ says to have childlike faith. And I feel like God has just molded me to be like that, to have childlike faith. And I don't want to lose that, because I feel like if we looked at each other as children of God, like how Christ says have a childlike faith, I feel like we would treat everybody different. And I think like that if we strive to do that, I feel like that would be more beneficial, you know, to our society. Is that when we look at, you know, a woman or a girl or a man or a boy, we look at them as a child of God, and despite what they're going through or what they're doing, you know. And I think that, I don't know exactly that's what Christ meant by that. I think he meant like just have childlike faith and just be like a child, having faith in him. But also like I do look at that like we are children of the living God.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah. I was gonna say, what do you feel like you're gonna do when you grow up? Like, what do you want? You want to go to college to do? You want to be a doctor? You want to do this? Like, what do you feel like you want?
Yeah, I've been.
Is it too early?
It's not too early, because I mean it's junior year, so that's kind of like when you have to kind of make a decision.
Yeah.
At least at the end of junior year, but I'm really into the agriculture industry like a lot.
Farmer?
I wouldn't be like a farmer, but like pretty close to like a farmer, like bit like around like the seed and like all that industry, you know. So it's
nice.
yeah.
That's cool, bro.
Actually, my dad liked to being into like a seedsman, selling seed and all that a few years back. So yeah, I mean, it's really cool because like you drive like, I don't know, 10 minutes out of Ottawa, there's a whole bunch of cornfields and soybean, you know, so it's like, but like who like sells the seeds and like, you know, so it's just really like interesting.
Yeah.
Like, and then like knowing like how like the economy and all that works.
Yeah.
Like that, it like all kind of like bases around agriculture.
Yeah, it really is.
So
we don't really know enough about it because we just go to the grocery store and we just get what we want. Yeah, no, it's amazing. I just watched a YouTube video of some guy who started from scratch. Like he had nothing, and then he like basically was a farmer for a year, and like he documented everything. It was pretty cool. He bought like the equipment, he did the seed, he did everything, but he ended up losing money.
Yeah.
So it's like that's another thing people don't realize. Like, if you want to talk about faith in God, be a farmer, because they really have to put their faith in God. because like anything can happen. Like your crops might not grow, the seeds or whatever, you know. And that's something that me and Allison are working towards. We kind of want to have a homestead, and we're trying to get some land. So
I went to a state convention for FFA, which is it used to be Future Farmers of America, but then they just changed it just to FFA. So that was down in Springfield this summer, and like they sometimes they like prayed and like they talked about like having like the farmers for having faith in God and having like rain and having it grow, you know. So it's really cool to like see like the agriculture with like God and like how they not view God, but like how they want God to use them in their lives.
That's amazing. And people don't realize that's what's driving America, you know, is the farmers and their faith in God. And I mean, even biblical times, you talk about there's crops and how you need a you reap what you sow. There's so many different references of just growing. But it's an amazing thing because if you think about it, I feel like as a society we are very comfortable here in the United States. Like you can go right now if we wanted to, we can just go get food, you know, in other states and other places that you can't, you know, some people have to survive and get, but it's that uncomfortableness is kind of you're depending on God. And I feel like America's at a point where we're so comfortable, we're not depending on God anymore. We don't need him because we have everything we need. And we need to go back to depending on God. So,
and that's the scary part because like people are like, oh, we don't need God. Like, just we have everything that we need, and then they just don't put their trust in, like, you know, so they just don't know God, and then, you know, when the end comes, they don't go to heaven, you know. So it's really like hard to see that happen.
Yeah, and that's why kids like you that have Bible studies in their school and do stuff like that, that's definitely God is doing something, and he wants you to do that for a reason, and that's an amazing thing. So it starts with the 6-year-old Matthew that loves God, that loves Christ, and he sees people that God wants you to pour into, and it's that. And that's, you know, anybody can do what you're doing, and that's why we're doing this, so people can, a kid that's your age that doesn't know what to do, and they want, even what would you say to somebody that, okay, let's just do a scenario here. Okay, there's a kid that's 14, 15, right?
Okay.
He doesn't know what his purpose is. He's kind of like he's going through stuff in his family and all that. What would you say to that kid?
You know, the hard part is just like the family part, you know, because like if you don't really like know what's going on in their family, and like obviously I don't know like any perspective like on like what the like issue is, and I don't know like how bad it, like, you know, so like, and I've never been in a situation like that, so like those are like really, really hard to like have someone like you tell them like what to do,
exactly.
Like you don't want to be like, you do this, and then like they do it and then it's the wrong thing, you know. So
and then you have that, like, if you just say like, oh, God loves you, do all these, and then you're like, my dad's an alcoholic, and like you don't even know my life. And like especially like, you know, like whenever like Christians like lose a loved one, I'm like, you know, it's for a purpose, and it's like his plan. But then for like non-Christians, we're like, why, like what purpose and like what plan, you know? And like, so it's really hard to like say that to a non-Christian. So it's because then you really have to like pretty much. I like put you on the spot. I'm like, what would you say to this person? You're like, I don't know. Like I don't know. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know how. Yeah, that was a bad question. My bad. No. No. I guess for me, it's like I can relate to it. So I know what I would say. You know. And that's why I feel like maybe God is calling me to do that, to talk to the youth, because like I have cousins, like little cousins, like around your age, and like some in middle school, and they say like, "When are you gonna get me on the podcast? I love listening to your podcast." And I'm like, there's a period of time where I stopped doing it because life and stuff, but that's the reason why I don't want to do it. Like stop doing it because you don't never know who's listening.
Yeah.
And I might not have time for some of these family members or stuff like that. So it's like them able to just get Christ a little bit by just having a conversation. I think that's, if I can try to do that, I'm gonna do it. And that's why, like, I don't know, it's tough, but God is a good, gracious God, and He wants to have a relationship with everybody. So well, yeah, man. So anything else you can
I mean, not really. Like I think you really covered like everything that you wanted to ask me.
Yeah.
Especially the high school, like being in high school in 2024, because that's a really big one. Because like I feel like I think you've said like so much things have changed like in today's day and age. Especially like I'm gonna compare like my mom and dad to me. They didn't have phones, and so like they always like share the stories of like how they walked through 10 feet of snow to get to school, and so
you don't know what I had to go through.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm sorry.
You're like, you have it so easy. I'm like, okay.
You're like, well, I mean, what do you want me to do? Go back in time for you? Yeah, it is tough, and it's like, there's not really a big difference, I think, between me and you, besides maybe it was more like prevalent with phones, and the internet was a little bit more booming and stuff like that. But I remember growing up, for me, music was like, it was like the thing. It's like, what are you listening to? What are you into? And it was, a lot of it was just rap music, and that was like a big indicator of how basically the school culture was gonna be, like what you were gonna wear, how you interact with people, like everything. And it's crazy to think about, because it says that the devil is Lucifer. He was like an angel of music, and we don't think about how like music basically runs the world. And it's very dangerous, and it's kind of scary, because we do also use music as a form of worship to God. So it's like, you either are gonna worship something that the devil in a way, or you're either gonna use it to glorify God. And I think right now we're in a state where music is just, I mean, it's scary. The stuff that it's terrible.
Yeah, especially like certain types of like music.
Yeah.
Like, especially kind of like the rap, because like obviously like you can't like really hear what they say, but like you like at some points like what they're saying, and like they're just like pretty much like sharing what they're doing, and like how like they're not like saying that you should do it, but they're kind of like just promoting that. So it's really like difficult to like be like not like to not do it, because like you're gonna say like, oh, but this like he's doing it, like the rapper's doing it, so
it's like, look at him, he has all this stuff, and
he has so much money, and if I do it, then I can have that, so
and it's like, no, it really, like, I grew up in urban, I grew up in Aurora, it's more urban and stuff like that, so it's like, I know kids that are your age that listen to crazy stuff, and I'm just like, I never really thought about it, because it's like part of my culture. When I grew up, it was like, it is what it is, like this is what we listen to. But and then like getting away from that and listen to like country music, Christian hip hop, worship, like just regular, non-secular music, I guess. I guess Christian country is still, but it's a lot more chill, you know? It's like they're not talking about crazy stuff.
And then like there's some like country artists that do talk about God and stuff, so that's like really cool to like see, like even like some like secular music do talk about God in a good way too. So but then like when you go back to like listening to a song, you're like, and then you listen, you're like,
this is crazy. This is crazy. This is like, this is, I mean, the only way I can put it is it's demonic. It literally is, it's like pressuring you to do these certain things. It's like, yeah, do this, do this, do this. And it's like, yeah, that person did that and he's rapping about it. But you don't even know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
Like, and then, you know, you have people that do it because they want to have the image. You know, you have certain people that want to have the bad boy image or that lifestyle. And it's like, you get into that lifestyle, it's dangerous. It's not good.
Yeah, and that's, like, that music, like, the rap, like, that's what's usually played for, like, you know, warm-up music for, like, basketball and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like hearing that when you're warming up, it's like, what are they saying? And like when you do hear what they're saying, it's like, why are we listening to this? You know,
Yeah.
It's not good.
It's not good, and it's like, just think about it. Like when I was 16 and you're 16, it's not, the music has not that much different.
Yeah.
There were some like conscious rap, which was good. Like you got J. Cole, you know, Kendrick Lamar. They still are bad, but they still have like a message. They're still kind of like telling you something. And that's my, like, probably my favorite artist was J. Cole. Like I love J. Cole when I was listening to music, Nas and all these different people. But then you go back even further, like maybe when your dad was 16, or they were like not listening to
I don't think there was any music, to be honest.
There was just probably like, you know, you had like, you know, some people, but like most of the music, like you can, like me, we can be here as a family and like listen to their music back then, because it wasn't like, you know, it was about love or whatever. It wasn't anything crazy to where it's like, what did we listen to? It was like you know, you had some rock music and stuff like that. But what my point is that music, you can listen to it in a group setting and it would be okay. Versus now it's like you gotta scroll and try to find music that you can kind of play. Because it's like, you know, we talked about this when I mentioned to you how I want to do a basketball thing, remember, a while back? And I was thinking about it, and I want to still do it, but like my life got hectic and all that. I'm most likely probably not going to do it, but I wanted to. And I was thinking in my head, I'm like, what can I play there?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what kind of music? I can play some Christian hip hop, but it's kind of hard to dial in because it's like, you can't just be playing anything. And then sometimes some of the Christian hip hop seems like, so it's like you have someone that's like our church is, you know, it's a lot, like a lot of older people. So like if I play a Christian hip hop song, you would think that like, what do they look? This is bad, but it's like, it's not, but it's hard for people to kind of actually listen to what it's talking about. So that's one of the issues I was thinking about. Like, man, what if I play this music and it kind of like, people are like, what is this?
Yeah, and it's like, and if you like look at like Lecrae, like he came out with an album, I don't know, a few years ago, but like it was a song title called Zombie.
Yeah.
Like he just shared like what his life was before he was Christian. Like he like shared how he was like into girls and like drugs and like all that bad stuff.
Yeah.
And like if you hear all that stuff and then you don't hear like the other stuff that he's saying, like then you think that he's like a bad artist, you know, like not a Christian artist.
Yeah.
So it's like really hard to like share like music that says that bad stuff. Yeah. Especially if they're like sharing like the news of God.
Right.
You know, so.
Yeah, and like, you know, you have some people that don't believe in music. They think that it's not a form of like, you know, to try to, you know, worship or anything. Like hip hop's just all bad. And it is like a fine line because it's like you said, someone can listen to that song and be like, what is going on here? Yeah. But then they don't really get the message of what he's trying to say. And it's like, I have some music that I've worked on that was like that, where I'm talking about my past and talking about how I was. But then I'm like, I just feel like sometimes we can get into that situation where like I went through this stuff, but it's like someone that like you who probably never went through that stuff, you can kind of think to yourself, I don't know, I can't speak for you, but someone can listen to it and be like, oh, he went through that, like maybe I need to go through that. Or like, you know, it kind of like, it's weird. Like, you know, you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
someone can say like, oh, he did this and that. Like, I haven't went through that. And I'm like, you know, it kind of can encourage you a bit to like go do that, to dabble in it.
Mm-hmm.
But that person is just telling their life.
Yeah.
So it's weird, you know. And then you have like kids that don't live that lifestyle and they listen to that music and they change their whole perspective of how they are, and it's like, you're not that. You stop doing that. So it's tough though, you know. And I think it all stems to like, we need purpose and we need to have our identity in Christ. Because if you're not worshiping God, you'll be worshiping something, you know. We're made to worship something. So it's like, what are you worshiping, you know? So it can either be music, like women, drugs, all that. Like, we have something. Like, what is your identity? And like, the only true identity that's going to set you free is through Jesus Christ. So yeah. But yeah, any last things that you want to, you know, I would say, you want to plug your social media, you can, or anything that you work, or anything you're working on besides is the Bible study. And
I mean, I do have a Bible study Instagram.
Okay. There we go.
It's just Student Impact, and then HBR at the end.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you guys want to follow that, you can. I mean, all we'll say is just come to the Bible study this week and stuff. So
yeah, come to the Bible study.
But yeah, so I also have a video of last year's outreach, so you guys can watch that. So
nice.
It's like 1 minute and 30 seconds long, so it's really cool. So
nice, that's amazing. I'm glad that you took the time to do this, even though you're probably not doing much because you know you're 16. Yeah, man, I just want to applaud you for doing that and starting the outreach and doing that. You know, it's kids like you that are going to move this generation. And, you know, this generation, we need God. Mm-hmm. We need God. And it takes a lot of courage. And, yeah, so thank you, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. All right, catch you guys on the next one. Peace. See ya.
Thank you.
What you doing? You just got... Okay, let me stop playing. What's up? It's the kid. You just got done watching an LS production.